Course, brought to you as always by MyBookie.ag. If you're going to go get some live action right now in some of these noon NFL games, MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code FANCRED where you will get double your deposit just like that. Been a pretty exciting day of NFL action, and of course, we're doing fourth quarter live for Cowboys and Lions. And right now, the Lions had a pretty good drive to end the third quarter. They come out of the fourth quarter and they run the ball on third down and 3, which is set up a fourth down and short. So we'll see if Matt Patricia decides to punt or go for it. The Lions down by 6. It's 4th and 2, and they're on the 50-yard line, and they're 3 and 5. I mean, they're on the Cowboys 48. I can't believe they're going to punt. Oh, and they're shifting. The punter's now in the slot. They now have 5 wide receivers. They're going up to the line. Now we've got a penalty. Do we have an offsides on the Cowboys? Joining me now is Jared Sandler. Hello, Jared. How you doing?
What's up, Tiz? How's it going, man?
It's going really well. There's some chaos right there on the punt. And they did. They got the Cowboys to jump off sides. Is that Michael Bennett who jumped off sides? Or are they going to get a false start on the Lions?
And that's a great job by whoever 44 is. That like Aaron Maben or something? Because he's not an offensive lineman, but he knew right when Bennett crossed that line to move to create the offsides. That's a heads up play for a guy who's not normally in that position.
All right, so basically that converts a first down for the Lions, and the drive will continue. Just a huge mistake. Now we have the line right now at mybookie.ag is 7.5 for the Cowboys. Cowboys leading by 6. So if you think they're going to win by but if you think they're going to win by 8 points or so, then maybe go get some action at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code FANCRED where they will double your deposit. Pass and complete out to the right side. Let's also want to remind you, listeners, you can chat in the comment box. We'll read your comments, take your questions. And if you hit fan line in the top right corner, we can bring you on for a second to kind of hang out with us like we're doing right now. Jeff K is on the fan line, and we will bring Jeff K on to join Jared and I momentarily right here as the Lions down by 6, have the ball in Cowboys territory.
What's going on, fellas?
There he is. What's up, Jeff? How you doing today, man?
Just hanging out, man, watching this this defense, man. They seem to be just really struggling this year. I don't feel like they can stop the run. I mean, to me, the real only bright spot has been Robert Quinn.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. I think today we've seen some good performances out of some guys. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, I think over the total of the year, I think we're going to go, oh, wow, he had a good year. I think Jalen's been really good today, but we're still seeing Vander Esch looking a step slow, and maybe he's banged up. And I think you nailed it, and this is something Jared's been talking about. Overall, this defense, when it's nut-cutting time, is really not the defense that we thought they would be.
They really got to look into getting an upgrade on the inside this next year. And I know you guys, in your draft coverage, you guys pointed out several players that could fit that mold, and they just didn't do it.
We always try to get them a big 340-pound one-technique defensive tackle, and they just never seem to want to invest in that position. They do get a stop right here, though, on fourth down. Jared, so far from what you've seen today, your thoughts on kind of the defense for the Cowboys?
Well, this is a thought I had this morning. This isn't necessarily specific to today. But last year, Chris Richard was like the second coming, and my gosh, can't lose Chris Richard because he's the head coach in waiting. I'm just curious why his name hasn't been brought up. Maybe it's not his fault. Maybe it's the players. It probably is because they've got the same or a lot of the same personnel. But maybe last year he didn't deserve as much credit. I don't know. It's interesting how everyone will go after Jason Garrett or last year Scott Linehan and not saying that they're wrong in doing that. But why has Chris Richard been untouchable?
Yeah, and I think it's like a bigger question. Like, is it the scheme? Is it the players? Like, we've talked about interior defensive tackle. Well, from a pass rush perspective, Malik Collins has been a top 10 interior defensive lineman in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. So it's like, I can't be mad at that, and he's cheap. Like, I can't be mad at that. There's a lot going on, and there's a reason Chris Richard was not still in Seattle. Like, that message ran out, and they didn't keep him around. Now, quick update, as the Cowboys get the ball back, Jared, the Vikings have the ball in an NFC game that's got some NFC importance for the Cowboys, considering they beat the Cowboys last week. The Vikings are trailing 23-13 to Denver with 13 minutes left in that game. Maybe get some good MyBookie.ag action on that game as well with the money line.
But, I'll also point out, talking about defensive tackles, I mean, it doesn't seem to me like that's really Chris Richard's thing so much as it is Rod Marinelli's thing. And, no disrespect to Antoine Woods. He hustles, but, isn't it more of like a one technique thing or a nose guard thing more than anything else? Because, Collins has been pretty solid this year.
Yeah, I think it is that one technique, that big, like that. When they signed Christian Covington, they knew he would help that, right? They would help that for a little bit. But it was like in a part-time role. I think, Tyrone Crawford being hurt was kind of a big difference this year. I mean, I think that matters. I think they're paying for that a little bit. But as Robert pops in on the comment box, and Robert said inside upgrades and upgrade at safety. Well, as the story goes, on draft day, Chris Richard said they were, leaning towards Juan Thornhill as a starter in Kansas City and is having a good year. The story goes that Chris Richard said, we need size in the middle. Let's go with Tristan Hill. And they took him over Juan Thornhill. So, I know like people like to kill Marinelli a lot, but if the story is true that was reported, that was Chris Richard getting the pick. But, again, they were picking late in the second round. They were going to be picking a third-round graded player in that area. I do want to say a quick update on that thing. That Denver game is now 5.5 on MyBookie, and that Denver Vikings game with the Broncos leading by 10. So if you think the Broncos are going to hold on, might get some action there. Cowboys 6.5 on the money line right now on MyBookie.ag. Remember, the promo code's FanCred, but they'll double your deposit. There's Amari Cooper with the catch for about 15 yards. He is in the games, kind of. He ain't playing much today. His snap count's going to be way down. And I'm actually okay. It's almost like they're having a load management situation with him. Your thoughts on Amari Cooper? I know it's just 2 catches for 22 yards. He has, completely been ruled out of the game, and there he is right there making a play.
Yeah, he don't look right. It'd be nice if the Cowboys could have gone out to an early lead and maybe you could have just given Amari the second half off. That's obviously not the case. But watching him move around, even on balls that have not come his way, he doesn't look right. He's not getting separation. They're showing him on the sideline there. I don't know what Pam Oliver is reporting. I'm sure it's something incredibly enlightening. But they got to figure out a way. I don't know if it's – the problem is that they can't just take a week off, and they've got a really tough schedule. I don't know what it is, but, they got to get that guy right, because when he is right, he's so good and so important for this team.
That's why I wanted to really, for obvious reasons, and dunk on them. And this is going to be a huge drive, as the Cowboys are going to take a timeout right here with 12:32 left, leading 27-21. But, this is a span of 5 games in 25 days. So when you get the Patriots next Sunday, and then you're going to get the Bills, and then you're going to get the Thursday night game following that, which I think is the Bears, but forgive me if I'm wrong. 5 games in 25 days. It would have been again, his snap count is going to be low today. So he is kind of getting a rest, but you're seeing them need him in the fourth quarter. At least they had a design play for him on the last drive. Where he came in and then just made a catch right there. So he's being a factor in some way. Are we all good on Dak? There can't be a single fan who's out on Dak now, right? No. I've got my NFL MVP candidates down to Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Dak, and Deshaun Watson. And I think it's you can't even that's it, right? Those are the 4. Move it on down the road.
I'm buying his jersey as soon as he signs a new contract.
Yeah, you want to wait and make sure?
Yeah, right.
It's a thing. It is strange that they didn't even try to get it done. I mean, they tried, but like there was no urgency from anyone. It didn't feel like, and it's like, man, all summer long, everyone around that building was talking about Dak taking a step forward in year 4. And taking a step forward is a very generic term, but like we're legitimately seeing MVP numbers now. Like I was sitting there thinking in my head, and it's early, and I'm not starting this discussion. I'm not. But in my head, I was going, man, is Dak going to be better than Tony one day? I think he might be. I think he's got a chance to do that.
What was the biggest
And
knock on Dak? What, the last 2 years or whatever, what's been the biggest knock on Dak since his rookie season?
I mean, you name it. We've heard it all under the sun.
Okay, so
the accuracy, right? We're done with that, right?
What's that?
The accuracy was a thing that I never really agreed with personally.
Right. So that's the thing. Everyone always it seemed like on Twitter, the minute he threw behind someone, if it wasn't a perfect throw, he'd get ripped. You know, fair or unfair, everyone was picking apart. A lot of people were picking apart the accuracy. But my gosh, you know, he's putting balls on the money. I even thought that pass he threw across field to Amari Cooper that was not a touchdown on the last drive, I thought that was a heck of a pass. I mean, I just thought that was a sign of Cooper not having the athleticism and the burst to get to it. But it really seems like that just is putting balls on the money about as well as any quarterback in the league.
Well, for me, my biggest problem I had with Dak last year was he waited too long to get the ball out, and his footwork was just horrendous.
You know, and he's fixed that. And that was one thing Kitna came in and talked about. That was the number one thing Kitna wanted to fix was his footwork. And Kitna talked about not realizing until year 10 in the league that footwork, he learned from Mike Martz in year 10 that footwork is way more important than your arm strength or anything else. So if it took him 10 years and he's teaching Dak this in year 4, that's awesome. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
if you want to join on the phone line, green button at the bottom of the screen. The bottom right of the screen, the green button, that's the fan line. And Dak hits Witten for a huge catch over the middle. Look at Witten showing his old man strength right there. Jared, question from Robert I want to throw at you. Why aren't we talking about Zeke's lack of production?
Oh, I mean, maybe we haven't talked about it in this conversation because the conversation's directed us elsewhere. I feel like that's been a big conversation, especially last week when Zeke had such a poor game. And, you know, some people are saying, well, you know, the Vikings defense is good. But then, you know, other people fairly so, in my opinion, saying, well, wait a second. You paid this guy to be one of the best running backs in the league. It shouldn't, you know, he shouldn't be limited that badly against such a bad defense. And I thought a side conversation to the play calling, which, you know, I would have much preferred to see the ball in Dak's hands late in the game, that, you know, that this is separate from that. But, man, I mean, what does it say that we also don't have confidence that Ezekiel Elliott, even though he had not performed well, wasn't going to be able to get 2 yards? You know, and I think that's kind of telling of the type of year he's had. I know he had the touchdown earlier, and it was set up by a nice run on first and goal from the 9. But, yeah, I mean, what about Ezekiel Elliott that you've seen has made you think, wow, this is one of the best backs in the league?
Well, here's what I think. I don't think he's been as bad as people think. Here's what I think we have a problem. I think we have a conflicting situation. Has he lost a step? Maybe. Is the wear and tear starting to get to him? Maybe. I do think the Cowboys signing him was one of the greatest, like, zigzag type things that could have happened if they would commit to it. Because if they would just turn into a passing team, the way we all think of Zeke would be different. Like these teams, the Lions and the Vikings, these teams that don't play the Cowboys twice a year are still treating the Cowboys like they're the 90s Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or the Cowboys of last year or 2016. Like they want to run the ball. That's why we saw the Lions try to take away the run. And if the Cowboys would just fully commit to it, I was just watching the TV broadcast earlier, and Pam Oliver, this is a weird one, but Pam Oliver said Jason Garrett said after halftime, we're going to pass and pass and pass if they're going to commit to stopping the run. Well, if they're going to do that, then fully commit to just being a passing team, and then things open up for Zeke later, and Zeke's an afterthought. It's because I think in our head we're still conditioned to think of Zeke as the star of the offense, and he ain't that anymore. This is Dak's offense.
He's not, you're right, but he still can be I still think it's possible that he looks the part, even if he's not getting the ball nearly as much. Like we both agree that there's no reason he needs 25 carries a game. But like, you know, in bursts or, you know, however they want to deploy him. Here's the thing. We talked about this earlier. I think we talked about it, KT. I could be wrong. The Saints game, or it had to do with Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara can line up in the slot and be a force as a receiver versus Zeke, who's good as a pass-catching running back. Like, to me, there's a difference. Alvin Kamara can be a receiver. Zeke is just a really good pass-catching running back. And so there's that element that Kamara has, that McCaffrey has, that Aaron Jones has that we've seen this year. He's emerged in that way that Zeke really doesn't have. Zeke's not a guy who's going to line up in the slot and just run you ragged, you know, working in that role. He's a guy who out of the backfield can do damage as a receiver. Absolutely.
No, I totally agree 100%. While we're on kind of commercial here, Jared, there's 11 minutes left. Cowboys lead 27-21. As soon as I was bragging on Dak, he almost throws an interception, trying to get it to Tavon Austin. You know, but real quick, I was going to run through some scores. We'll do that in a minute because Evangelist has got a great point. And thanks, Evangelist, for popping on as you always do. Happy to see the left guard holding his own. I was about to say that Xavier Su'a-Filo has not been – you haven't heard much from him. That's a good thing. And does that make you think about Connor Williams? Like, man, what is he now? Now, I still think Connor Williams is, you know, your long-term left guard here.
Oh, my
Lord.
What
a throw that Dak just made.
What was a timeout? And I love Dak and you love Dak. Was that a good throw or is that just a little bit of luck in that?
Oh, that's a lot of luck. And Darius Slay's smiling because he knows that should have been a pick.
Yeah. So, wow.
Darius Slay has kind of owned Amari Cooper all day long, and then Dak just threw it in between Darius Slay's hands, and Amari Cooper catches it and ends up getting 15 yards.
I'd love to believe that was all Dak's magic, knowing that Darius Slay wasn't going to be able to close his hands on the ball in time. But
gosh, incredible. 1st and 10 on the 35. Jared, quick update from Minnesota because it's a game we've kind of been tracking just because the Cowboys lost to the Vikings last week. The Vikings have just scored a touchdown, 23-20 now. Denver leads 23-20. There's a Tony Pollard handoff right there for 10 yards.
Hey, they're doing to the Broncos kind of what they did to the Packers. They fell behind early, and they're trying to make a game of it. Now, they weren't able to come back and beat the Packers, but Packers a little better than the Broncos. And I think that Packers game was in Green Bay. This one in Minnesota, right? So,
yeah. They were down 20-0.
Minnesota keeps doing things that make you scratch your head. I still think that, you know, you could make a case that they're the best team in the NFC in what is a very wide open conference.
I always like talking about the Vikings with you because you're a Kirk Cousins fan and you've been very high on the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of guy who will tell you that, you know, they should have blew it the other day. And, you know, I personally think Kirk Cousins would win a battle between Kirk Cousins and Brandon Allen, but not one if he's forced to go toe-to-toe with Dak. Cowboys get a first down right here, a carry to Zeke. The MyBookie money line right now, 9.5. So Cowboys approaching the red zone. If you go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code FANCRED, they'll double your deposit. And 9 money line. Smell Gill action if the Cowboys are going to get a touchdown. Dak is blitzed a little bit here, and he dumps it off to Dalton Schultz, who's going to get like 7 yards. So that's basically, again, Dak just – his escapability is something he's improved at as well. We're talking about little things he's improved at. His escapability's gotten better. There's a flag on the play. I'm not real sure what that is yet.
Yeah, what do we –
9 minutes left in the game. I don't know what this flag is. I'm trying to figure that out.
Hey, Jared Davis missed that opportunity to sack. You know, what an interesting year he's had. I mean, they were so high on him. You know, I think they thought maybe similarly to the way that Van Der Esch and what's his face, Jalen Smith have maybe not performed as well. Jared Davis has been their guy in that regard. He has not been nearly as good.
No, and there's Jared who's got to refresh, and we'll get Jared back here in a minute. And he's making a good point there. Cowboys out to 20, kind of getting Tony Pollard involved. He had a touchdown catch today, and there they throw it out to him for 2 yards. There's Jared. No, you're right. And Jared Davis is a guy who's been hurt, but he was a first-round draft pick, or was he a second-rounder? He was a first-round graded guy. I'm not sure if they took him in the first. I think he went like the teens. But Tony Pollard's getting involved in the offense too today, Jared. That's been something we've been saying, and an interesting wrinkle. We've been calling for more Tony Pollard and more Blake Jarwin.
Yeah, I like it. I like seeing both those guys involved. Listen, I think Jason Witten has a role in this offense. It's not that I don't want him in there. I just think that Blake Jarwin has a role that can expand, and maybe you can do things with Jarwin that you can't do with Witten. And Witten can do things, not that Jarwin can't do, but you probably have a higher level of confidence that he'll get it done. Anything 7 yards and in, I trust Witten. But I just think that you look at some of these explosive offenses in the league, they utilize a tight end as a weapon to stretch the field. And you can have both. You can have Witten and you can have Jarwin. I think we like seeing Jarwin as a guy who is utilized the way that they have utilized him a little bit today.
10th play of the drive, and it's a 3rd and 8, and the Cowboys will get a touchdown right there. Zeke right there on a screen pass.
Zeke with the making fun of Dak's celebration right there.
Oh, is that what he was doing? Yeah, that's really good. Warm-up. So he's doing the Dak warm-up bit. So this is a really good catch by Zeke because it's a sidearm kind of off-target throw from Dak, and Zeke catches it and keeps his balance. Great job by Witten to not get called for a block in the back right there.
And that's where Zeke's effective. Zeke's effective as a pass catcher out of the backfield like that. That's exactly where it's like the old-fashioned, like, I imagine without going back and studying all the film, like Marshall Faulk in his heyday as a dual threat running back or rusher and receiver, he wasn't necessarily lining up in the slot like guys are these days. He was catching passes out of the backfield, and you can be a really good pass-catching running back like that, and that's what Zeke is. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there are other running backs who can do it in a different way. That's not necessarily Zeke's bag, but behind the line of scrimmage or coming out of the backfield in the flats or running those Texas routes, he does a really good job of those.
Okay, so the Cowboys have to take a timeout because they're going to go for 2. They're up by 12, and we'll update you. Give you the update on the money line here in a minute for MyBookie after the 2-point conversion. I've been calling for the Cowboys to try to get the screen game going again.
Yeah,
they haven't really got a big play off that in a long time. But I will say this: that drive had 10 plays. It had 8 passes and 2 runs. 2 runs for 5 yards, 8 passes for somewhere around 70 yards. And then on the 2-point conversion, you're going to see the Cowboys line up with 4 wide receivers and a running back, and I won't do play-by-play because that's illegal. But I will tell you that the Cowboys just got the 2-point conversion by handing it off to Tony Pollard. So it's 35-21. Now on that drive, Dak threw 2 interceptable passes.
Yeah, 2.
Okay, so there's a little bit of luck here, but
on the heels of us talking about how accurate that he's been.
It doesn't overshadow how good he's been today.
Absolutely.
And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like a full-on acceptance from the offense that this is a passing offense will be better for Zeke and Tony Pollard. Just accept that's what you are because the rest of the league didn't think that. Or, the teams that play you twice a year do. And the Lions and Vikings straight up showed you, we're not going to let you run the ball, beat us to the air. And Dak's like, okay, I'll do it, fine. Even with fumbling on that first drive, they had 24 points. It's kind of overwhelming. So 35-21, 14-point lead is a 14.5 line on mybookie.ag. Or remember the promo code's FanCred where they'll double your deposit. And then Robert's laughing in the comment box because his Zeke production comment didn't age well. I think it's fine. I think that's how we want to use Zeke, though. I think we'll use it in different ways. Jared, while we're on commercial and it's 35-21, let's kind of look at some of these other scores in these noon games. I think it's interesting. And let's start, the game we've been talking about is kind of the close game right now. Broncos 23, Vikings 20, 10 minutes left. The Broncos driving into Minnesota territory. So Broncos about to get a sneaky one. It's kind of an upset week, kind of, because happening right now in Carolina, the Falcons lead the Panthers 26-3, Jared. The Panthers, a team who's 5-4, and it's weird because Kyle Allen's the quarterback, but the Cowboys are 5-4, and we still think the Cowboys are a playoff team. Right now, the Falcons are knocking on the doorstep of another touchdown, and they lead 26-3.
KT, let me ask you this. Putting you on the spot. 3 best teams in the NFC are
Saints, Packers, '49ers.
In that order?
No. Seattle.
Over
Saints,
Saints.
Packers, Seattle.
In that order?
Yeah.
So, I mean, some years you can do this, other years you can't. But, like, if I told you that I thought the Seahawks were the best team, the Vikings were maybe the 3rd best, and San Francisco was 2nd best, like, you'd argue that. But, like, you couldn't say unequivocally that, I'm an idiot. Like, the NFC is so wide open, and it's so interesting. I think that creates an opportunity still for the Cowboys, despite the fact that their season's been underwhelming. It's also a little bit frustrating because this seems like a conference that, if things had maybe gone a little closer to what we expected, the Cowboys would be the best team in the NFC. And opportunities there. It's still there. So it's frustrating, but it's also keeping things really interesting for the Cowboys as we, assess them based on our preseason expectations.
I agree. And look, Cowboys are going to take on New England next week in the 3:25 window. The Packers will play the 49ers in the night game Sunday night. Like, there's some good NFC action there, and I would call that kind of a measuring stick type week, So that's going to be very, very fun next week. You might get a better read on that. I mean, we saw the Saints have a letdown last week against the Falcons, but, the Falcons are maybe showing they can find it a little bit.
How big is your measuring stick?
Oh, well, here's the thing. With the measuring stick, you want to make sure that it's not so long that it's an inconvenience where you store it, but that it's long enough to get the job done.
And you got to be able to account for like a wide array of measurement possibilities. But again, it's, at some point it just becomes too big and it's just really unnecessary.
That catch, I've seen that slow-mo replay, man. That catch is so good by Zeke. Not every running back in the league makes that catch. That's such a great touchdown celebration.
When we talk about expectation, I mean, Zeke's got a big measuring stick, and he's got a lot to live up to. And that's why, despite the fact that he's, look at his numbers, he's been productive. I mean, it's tough to live up to, expectations like you're going to be the best player in the NFL or best running back in the NFL, but he's still been productive.
Quick update over in Minnesota. Denver misses a field goal. So it is 23-20. The Vikings getting the ball back at home. Denver's probably going to blow this one. I want to read this comment from Evangelos for you here, Jared. Not sure if you can't pay Dak. Lack of quality quarterbacks in the market like Dalton and a hurt Cam Newton can't steer this ship for the long term. I pay the man is what he's saying, and he's right. Like, and this is, you and I have been on the same boat here. I've never been really a person that's agreed with you can't pay everybody. If you pay Dak, I think I'm more in the boat of you can't go out and add everybody. I think you can pay everybody you have.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can add everybody that you're going to want to add. But if you want to keep Byron Jones, it's up to you. Obviously they're going to keep Cooper, but you can pay Dak and Cooper, and your cap's going to be, it's not going to be in great shape, but you're still going to have money to operate and make small additions. But, it's up to you if you want to keep Byron Jones. Like that's a decision you were going to make whether you paid Dak or not. You were going to say, is Byron Jones worth this amount of money? Like not even mattering what the cap is. So I don't know where I stand. I don't want Cheeto being my number one corner next year, but I'm kind of leaning towards, and if they're going to franchise Dak, I think that's a mistake. You can't have a second tag, a transition tag. I wouldn't mind tagging Robert Quinn to keep him around for another year.
Man,
or you tag Byron Jones. Like, I don't know.
Saying this earlier, I think when Jeff popped on, he brought up Robert Quinn. I'm pretty sure it was Jeff. And That guy has been consistently really productive and a great pickup. I think, we want the big names and whatnot, but in football, maybe more so than any other sport, the guys you can get at a bargain will really kind of help move that needle a bit. And I think it's safe to say that they got Robert Quinn at a bargain, especially relative to the type of production that he's given this team.
Dak 26 of 40, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Lions are going to try to get 2 scores here in 8 minutes. One thing I do want to say, too, if teams in the NFL start adjusting to the Cowboys as a passing team or a team who's a legitimate threat, then that's where it's on Zeke and the offensive line to go prove that you can run against, teams that are playing coverage. Yeah. And we saw it in the Saints game where they didn't really prove that. And right now Driscoll has 2 carries and he crosses midfield. So the Lions are not going to go down easy here with about 7 minutes left. Robert has a good comment here. He says Baltimore, the 49ers, and the Seahawks, top 3 teams in the NFL. I still need to see more from San Francisco, but, man, Baltimore has been really impressive. They beat the Patriots. Lamar Jackson is proving that on any given day he can go win a game for them like he did against Seattle. He put the team on his back and won the game. Right now, the Ravens 41, Texans 7. That says a lot about Baltimore to me today, just dunking on Houston by that much.
Is that Tank that's down? We got Tank down.
That is Tank down, and he's –
let's see, looking at a replay.
That's a shoulder, Jared. That his right shoulder kind of – when he hit that, it looked like his right shoulder kind of went numb.
Yep.
Now, I'm trying to remember which labrum was it, his right or his left?
Let's see.
The Vikings have just scored in Minnesota. Kyle Rudolph scores. So the 7-3 Vikings have now taken the lead over Denver, 26-23 with 6 minutes left in that one. They've come all the way back from 20-0. This tank thing's very serious here, especially with the Patriots next week. I don't call this garbage time, considering it's a 2-score game, but, you're winning by a lot. So I don't know if you necessarily, want Tank getting hurt when you're up by 2 scores. It's kind of a rough deal. He's walking off, though, and looks fine. Might just be a stinger, something like that. So there's that. Obviously, Eagles-Patriots coming up this afternoon. Might get a little action over there on MyBookie.ag if you want to get in on that Eagles-Patriots action. The promo code is FanCred, where they will double your deposit. MyBookie.ag.
I'll tell you what, KT, I'd be going over to MyBookie.ag and throwing some bones down on those Patriots.
Okay. Now, I want to say the line there because I think that's very important on this one. I think the Patriots are going to dominate the Eagles personally. But, we were just talking about the NFC as, well, the Lions are doing stuff. Hold on. We'll update you on that.
Former Cowboys great Danny Amendola.
Texas Tech great Danny Amendola.
Cowboys training camp casualty years ago.
Yeah, he had a training cramp that year too, if I remember. It was hot.
I think he and Olivia Culpo have had some training cramps.
I got -5 for the Patriots on the MyBookie.ag.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't want Eagles +5. I think that's a no-brainer. A disclaimer, I'm not telling anyone how to spend their money, but I can tell you it's free money if you go to MyBookie.ag and just use the FanCred promo code for your to double your deposit. -5 for the Patriots. I think I would put money down on the Patriots right there.
The Cowboys are dropping like flies right now.
Yeah, so Anthony Brown hurt now. Anthony Brown's, I've been defending him because I know a lot of people have been killing to have Jordan Lewis out there, but Jordan Lewis is great, but Anthony Brown hasn't been the problem in the secondary. It's been Cheeto.
It's been Cheeto, yeah.
So I just got a text message. I'll just read this to you, Jared, because I think it's a fun topic. Well, let's hold on. The Lions are still refusing. I mean, the Lions are just hiding out in the jungle, and then they're singing "I Can't Wait to Be King" as Driscoll hits Marvin Jones for a touchdown. and it's 35-28, and the Cowboys are going to have to bear down and win this thing now. Holy cow. That was a very easy drive.
How many different animal references? You said bear, lion, and cow, all with it. Did you just win a bet? Or did you have a bet on how many animal references you could drop in this quarter?
No, but I will. And are you rolling out NFL team names?
Whoa! You know what? We need to go to the referees upstairs on that one. That's a great question.
What's the MyBookie.ag line on how many animal references?
Well, you just dropped 3 in a matter of 2 sentences, so I think we got to get up to like 11 if we're going to count the mascots.
Next week, producer Cam said it's 6. I said my producer, like he's just mine, but our producer Cam says 6. I guarantee it's more than that.
KT demands a personal producer. We used to have the same producer, but then he said that he just couldn't stand not having full attention. So it's written in his contract. He's got his own personal producer. You can only see KT from the chest up. You don't even want to know what's going on below there and all his personal assistants.
Actually, I'm wearing a Ray Finkel t-shirt. Touchdown Lions. So it's 35-27. They do something that I love when NFL teams do, and I think this makes fans crazy when it doesn't work out. They go for 2. And I've always believed this. When you're down 14, go for 2 if you're trying to win the game.
Yeah,
if you're trying to tie the game, kick the extra point. But if you're trying to win it, then go for 2. But they don't get it. They don't get the 2-point conversion, so they're down by 8, 35-27. Now, quick update, Jared, back in Minnesota. I know I keep going there.
No, let's do it.
But I'm just fascinated because the Cowboys should have beat this Minnesota team last week. Broncos into Vikings territory under 5 minutes left, trailing by 4. So it's 35-27. Cowboys lead. They're about to get the ball with 5:49 left. The Lions, that's where this game gets dangerous. If they can convert on that 2-point conversion, it's 35-29. Aren't you thinking, way differently?
Yeah. And
man.
Well, I was going to say, Tony Pollard just saves the Cowboys there. Almost really bad field position, but he's able to power through like a rhinoceros to the 30 or so, just galloping his way.
What's he thinking there, though?
What's that?
Letting that ball he lets the kickoff drop at the 5-yard line. Why would
that's silly? So he kind of saved his own mistake there. I don't know why. At minimum, you stand behind it. I mean, that's just lazy. If you want to let it bounce because you're just going to let it go into the end zone, that's fine. But you better get behind it because now, if you're in front of it, all of a sudden that becomes a much more dangerous play. It worked out, but that could have been a lot worse.
As Jerry always says, the football is an oblong-shaped object, which is a funny word, oblong. You never know where it's going to bounce, and that's why it's a fun game. Cowboys back to the air. Dak looking for Cooper, and Dak got hammered, and Lyle Collins is down now. And Dak is still down, Indian style.
Yeah, he's doing the butterfly stretch. Seems like he had to rearrange his balls a bit there. But, that's like the last 5 plays. I think 5 Cowboys have been down or left the field.
Let's get a look at the slow-mo replay here. Lyle Collins. Oh, Dak rolled up under him, and he hurt his knee. Now, the Cowboys are already down one offensive lineman in Connor Williams, and right there, Lyle's left knee rolls up under him, and he's holding it immediately.
Who's been the best offensive lineman for the Cowboys this year, KT?
I think long-term it's going to end up being Zach Martin.
No, but just this year, who would you say, like this season only, who's been the best?
I think Zach.
Zach and then
But
Lyle?
I think a month into it was Lyle. Okay. Yeah.
And a Kirk Cousins update. This is the Rudolph touchdown pass. Is that what we got here? Yep.
Yeah, that was the Kyle Rudolph 32-yard touchdown. But the Broncos driving 4 minutes left in that game. So Broncos driving there down by 4. Lyle walking off. Now, look, I'm not going to do reckless jinx stuff. That stuff doesn't matter. We know that. Looks like a type of sprained knee type thing you see when a guy rolls up. We saw Tyron deal with that. We have seen guys walk off when it's an ACL before. Who knows? Hopefully Lyle's all right. Cam Fleming into the game at right tackle. Cowboys have a 2nd and 10 at their own 31. Up by 8. They'll get a few of them back.
I'll say this, I think like traditionally 10, 15, 20 years ago, you're running the ball at least once on first and second down. I don't mind the Cowboys going back and passing twice here. I really have no issue with it. It's been such a weapon for them. No need to go away from it with 6 minutes left. I don't know. I can't see the chats. I don't know if people are asking about that at all. But I like the aggression coming out of after the Lions score.
Michael Gallup, 8 catches, 126 yards. Cobb has been great. Cooper in spots has been good. I mean, he's made some huge plays late in this game. 3rd and 4 for the Cowboys. They really need a first down, and they're going to get it. Michael Gallup on a crosser route. Dak had all day to throw. And the Lions, again, have got a lot of people up in the box. I mean, there's a couple linebackers, but they're still kind of thinking about the run a little bit. I love crossing routes, Jared. It just creates traffic. It's like thinking about it like basketball. Set a pick for someone,
Yeah.
Get guys open. I love that stuff. These are things that were not in the offense last year and have been in the offense this year. And if you want to question Kellen Moore's play calling late in the game last week, but there are some really cool parts of the offense that have been added because of Kellen.
They were working that pattern multiple levels. They had Cobb short, they had Gallup medium. And both those guys appear to have single coverage, and Gallup ran a really nice route there.
As I continue to keep eyes on this game in Minnesota, Jared, Denver gets a first down to rookie Noah Fant from Iowa. 3 minutes left in that game. Denver down by 4 and driving in Minnesota territory. Cowboys now in Detroit territory. 4 minutes left in this one, and they lead by 8. Just trying to put the nail in the coffin right here. Lions still have 2 timeouts. Cowboys have a second down as they ran it on first down. Dak kind of pressured this time.
Oh, Cobb's got to come up with that.
Yeah, we got a Cobb drop.
Cowboys,
I think that's
second in the NFL in drops this year. I want to say behind Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 2 things that I think we would say about Cobb, and I tweeted this out a little bit earlier. Cobb has been a major upgrade over Cole Beasley over the whole – and Cole Beasley's been fine in Buffalo, but considering the change this offense is going through, working different levels of the field, Cobb has been so huge to that. The 2 things that I would say, besides the nagging injuries that we've seen with him over the course of his career, small catch radius, and you see it kind of hurt him there. That was a great throw. I won't say it's a perfect throw, but that was about 98% as good of a throw as you could make right there. But Cobb's got such a small catch radius that it does sometimes lead to drops.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of frustrating to see sometimes. We have, I believe it's Shelby Light, I believe. He says we need to sign Cobb and Quinn after the season for the right price, of course. I'd be all about Cobb and Quinn coming back on the team next year. Wouldn't you, Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cobb's been a nice addition for a lot of the reasons you'd said. He adds a different element that Beasley kind of didn't.
3rd and 9 at the 40, and Dak is hit and incomplete. So Cowboys leading by 8. Now it's decision time for Garrett. 4th and 9. I would assume that he would punt. You could put it up on Maher for a 57-yarder like last week to go up by 11.
I don't know what decision they're making yet, but I want to punt here. I don't want to make this, any easier than it needs to be for Jeff Driscoll. Force him to go into a full field.
I've seen my kicker make 55-plus yarders enough. I would not expect him to make it, but I would punt. I would kick the field goal here. I would not punt it.
Okay. So they're going to end up punting it. I guess my thing, you're right, KT. He's had a lot of success from that range, but I just look at
I know it's a coin toss
right now, and Jeff Driscoll, and I think make it as tough on him as possible. And I don't know. I guess the risk of you miss the field goal, all of a sudden Driscoll's got 50 yards to go instead of 80. To me, is a big difference.
If it's 35-29 and they get that 2-point conversion earlier, are you changing your mind?
Because
here's what I'm doing.
No, I don't think I'm changing my mind because at that point, again, I don't want to risk the short field.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say here, and so it's on record, not hindsight.
Yeah.
Because it's 35-27 and they have to score and get a 2-point conversion, I'm comfortable taking a chance there because here are the outcomes here. The outcomes are you punt and they get the ball, or you miss a field goal and they get the ball, or you make a field goal. Either way, once you choose punt, you're giving them the ball. Like, I want a chance at points. And I think the field goal is my chance. And if it's 63, I'm maybe not trying it. But 57, seen him make it. We're indoors. I've seen him do this. I think I would have kicked it right there. I would have kicked it and tried to go up by 11.
Or the holiday sighting.
Kenny Galladay shows up for the first time today on a 50-50 ball, makes a great catch at the 50-yard line, and now this thing is starting to get a little bit sweaty here, Jared.
What we got here? Well, what's the flag? It's a nice job by Galladay going up and getting that.
Darian Thompson's kind of been exposed today. He's been good, I think, filling in for Jeff Heath, but I think today we've seen Darian Thompson have a few opportunities to make plays and just hasn't done it. I mean, he's a better run player than he is a pass player, but, we've seen some issues with him today. Oh, boy. So Lions now driving, and 3 minutes left of this game, and the ball's around the 50-yard line.
Oh, shoot, it's around the 32.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's on the Detroit 32. I'm sorry, yeah, wow. So is there a penalty added on to that?
Oh, wow. I think Byron Jones got away with something. I could be wrong. At first glance, I think he got away with a penalty. Getting a chance to look at the replay. I've seen less contact called. Nope, maybe they are calling it.
Having eyes on red zone a little bit today in that Ravens-Texans game, there was a pass interference that was not called where just the wide receiver was just abused. And again, these refs are not overturning it. Are they going OPI here?
No, they're going. They're hitting the Lions. I looked down at the wrong time. All I saw was the hand going the other way. But was that too many men in the huddle?
Yeah, maybe so. The Cowboys got burned for that earlier too. So it's 1st and 15 for the Lions. They're on the Cowboys 37, down by 8 with 2:55 left. Needed a little pass rush. This is kind of where we talked about, and Cheeto makes a good play right there.
Cheeto.
Really good play by Cheeto to knock it away. Cheeto's been good today. We haven't seen Cheeto give up too much today. At least in my opinion, we haven't seen too much. And we've seen Marvin Jones get a couple touchdown catches, but we've talked about Kenny Galladay kind of being a non-factor today. So Cheeto's been good. This is where we talk about this pass rush and adding Michael Bennett, DeMarcus Lawrence, getting some Robert Quinn action. Right now you have Malik Collins is in there. So you got your main pass rushers in there, and Malik Collins is just causing pressure up the middle.
Yeah, that's a great job by Malik Collins.
He's been better than people think he's been this year. He's not a good run player, but this defense just asked him to get up the field, And right there, just wins off the line against Joe Dahl. And Driscoll, kind of not expecting it, takes a sack. And that's such a huge play because after the penalty, that's going to set up a 3rd and 20, Jared.
Now they're at midfield. You were prophetic in saying that.
I was also prophetic in saying that the pass rush this is where we need him to step up. Because Tank gets to the quarterback and ends up, causing the ball to be thrown away, setting up a 4th and 26 with 2:07 left. Now, the Lions still have 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning coming up, but.
So this is weird, KT. The Lions, there's not enough time left. If they punt, they'll get to the 2-minute warning. I almost wonder, it's a weird question. So they're going to punt here, and it's going to get down to the 2-minute warning, right? I'd almost imagine. I could be wrong. Maybe not. But would you rather let's just say for the sake of conversation, throw a quick incomplete pass, or maybe throw like a quick 5-yard pass, get a little field position, and keep that extra time out to use? Or, I mean, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you probably are in a better position if you can utilize that 2-minute warning as your third timeout and trying to get the ball back, as opposed to letting the clock run off.
I agree, but it all matters on, can you get this punt down in 6 seconds? That's because there's 2:07 on the clock.
So you got to get this out of bounds, right? Because well, no, I guess a fair catch if you. But if I'm Austin, I'm letting it bounce.
He is going to let it bounce, and they're not going to be able to down it.
What I'm saying, like they're in a way better field position if they were to get the ball back, but they're also probably going to have 40 less seconds on the clock. Unless the Cowboys were to throw the ball at some point and incomplete a pass, or someone inexplicably goes out of bounds. I've never actually given that thought, but I wonder, like, they're going to give you a 10-yard out. You get 10 more yards of field position, but then you get that 2-minute warning as your third timeout. You get what I'm saying?
I absolutely get what you're saying. It's like if the line drive punt could be invented, you'd like that, right? Yeah. But I think you're right because I mean, you're still got a chance to get the ball back, and maybe field position does matter. Maybe that's what you're thinking there. It's all about field position right there, because you're going to, with 150 left in this game, 158 left in the game, they're going to give it to Zeke. They're going to give it to Zeke. They're going to burn 2 timeouts, right? And it's going to set up a 3rd and 5. That's what you're hoping if you're the Lions. 3rd and 5 with 1:48 left, 1:45 left. Cowboys might run another play, take it down to 1 minute, and then punt it to you. So you'll still have a minute with no timeouts. Quick update in Minnesota, Jared.
Oh, man.
The Broncos convert on 4th and 6. There's 1:32 left. It's Vikings 27, Broncos 23 with 1:32 left. Evangelos says the decision to punt will give the D confidence that they can get the job done. He's talking about the Cowboys, or he's talking about, for both teams, I guess. Because I still go back to that decision to not kick the field goal with Maher. I think that's something they could have considered doing. I don't know if it's like statistically a thing that you're counting on. I don't know what the probabilities would have been on Maher making that kick, but I do think you get a chance to go up 11, and I think that's something that's where being a head coach is tough.
Yeah.
It's one of those decisions that's made that I don't think you should kill Garrett for. There are enough stuff we can kill Garrett for. Now, we're still in commercial here as the Cowboys will get the ball after the 2-minute warning. I'm following along on another screen, Broncos and Vikings. So we'll just kind of play around with that game for a minute since it's good. Obviously, I won't do play-by-play because it's illegal, but I will tell you that there's a minute left in that game, and there is 3rd and 5 coming up for Denver, and they are inside the Minnesota 25, down by 4. Dak today, 28 of 45 for 421. Cowboys 11 yards short of 500. In fact, if they get a first down right here, they'll have a 500-yard day. Are we thinking 2 carries to Zeke and a throw? What are you thinking here, Jared?
Yeah, I give it to Zeke twice and see where you are, especially this part of the field. If they're middle of the field, maybe I'm a little more aggressive. So I give it to Zeke twice and then make a decision there. We got a big 4th down, though, coming in that Denver game.
Yes, 4th and inches. And seeing where they are now, the Lions take a timeout. So we're talking about a 2nd and 10 right there. Shelby's got the comment, Xavier Woods is not a long-term solution. I don't know where I stand on that, and I think it's definitely a topic of discussion. There's a couple plays today even where I went, man, he's kind of being hesitant, and you don't want to see that out of him. You need him playing free like he was playing free in training camp and really at the first of the year. So I think that's interesting. 154 left. The Lions have 1 timeout left. They're down by 8. Oh, sweet creativity. Sweet mother of creativity. The Cowboys are going to win this game because they trust in play action. They trust in Blake Jarwin, and they get a first down right there when the whole world is selling out against the run. Fake the run, dump it off to Blake Jarwin. That is a great call on second down. I love that so much. That's the first down, and now you can knee this thing out and be fine.
There you go. Well, I guess my 2 runs and then see where you are. That was proven to be maybe poor strategy. I like that though. I think KT, with the way the passing game's opened up, it used to be obviously like you don't want to risk it. Run the ball, incompletions, but the completion percentage on average has gone up and up, and so. The fear that by passing the ball, the risk of not running the clock has diminished a little bit. It's not out the door, but it's diminished. Yeah. So it makes sense that you throw the ball, or that teams are more aggressive in these spots.
Absolutely, man. And this is and real quick, I want to say that Cowboys are going to knee it out in Denver. 4th and inches. Brandon Allen keeps it, and they are now inside the 5-yard line with 10 seconds left in that game.
Man, how big is this measuring stick right now?
Denver doesn't have any timeouts left, but they have 10 seconds left to try to get in the end zone in 2 or 3 plays. A kneel down there for Dak. That will take the clock down to 107 ish. Remaining schedule for the Cowboys: Patriots, Bills, Bears, Rams, Eagles, Redskins. Looking at the Eagles, they've got the Patriots today. They've got the Seahawks next week. And then it gets easy. Dolphins, Giants, Redskins, Cowboys, Giants. Huge win today. Need an Eagles loss the next 2 weeks. You need the Eagles to drop the next 2 games. It really feels like December 22nd is where this is all played out, right?
Yeah, I think that unless the Eagles just totally, that game is going to end up deciding things. I will say that, the Cowboy, like a win against the Lions obviously helps your NFC record. The Cowboys' divisional record's been huge, and, that might be a reason why you could still lose and end up winning the division. But, I still think I have a tough time looking at both schedules and drumming up a realistic scenario where that game just doesn't mean anything.
They're going to go ahead and knee this thing out. Ball game over. Cowboys go to 6-4. Lions go to 3-6-1. Cowboys win 35-27. Huge offensive outburst. Still some questions on defense. Some late injuries, but as Cedric points out, just playing to win right there. Now, Jared, I don't want to leave until this Denver-Minnesota game is over.
We got 1 play left.
I've got 3rd and goal with 2 seconds left from the 5-yard line.
Yeah, I do too.
So let's go ahead and finish that off, and then we'll get out of here. Make sure you go to MyBookie.ag. That Patriots line is Patriots -5 against the Eagles. The promo code is FanCred, where you can double your deposit. Now, Jared, you're reacting. Are you ahead of me? I'm still lining up 3rd and goal here.
I guess, I'm ahead of you. I'll wait.
Okay. Again, I will not do play-by-play because that is not a legal thing that we can do. But I can tell you the formation. 3 wide receivers on the left, 1 on the right, and we've got an incomplete pass to Noah Fant. So 3 passes from the 5-yard line. The Vikings break up all of them. And despite going down 20-0, the Vikings escape, get the victory, and go to 8-3.
Wow.
Cowboys 6-4, and I think if the Vikings were 7-4, we'd kind of be like, oh yeah, we might have a chance to be better than them, So that one's it. Games this afternoon at mybookie.ag, where the promo code's FanCred to double your money. 49ers and Cardinals will be fun. Cliff and Kyler are already down by the 3-yard line, Jared, so they're having fun.
Hey, quick question for you about Cliff, because I know DFW sports fans, maybe some have some ties to Tech. Would you say that with the roster that the Cardinals have, that if you're a Cardinals fan, you're happy and encouraged about the future with Cliff? Because I know they're 3-6-1, but you give me Cliff and Kyler, this is year 1. I'm encouraged to see what happens moving forward.
3-6-1. I tell you what, Jared, there's about 2 or 3 of those games that could have swung the other way.
Yeah.
So they still got a lot of work to do on the offensive line, a lot of work to do on defense, but I I ain't mad at all. If I'm a Cardinals fan, I feel like things are going in the right direction.
Yep, I agree.
And I think you see the excitement from Kyler that, I think you see something special there.
Yeah.
The win, there's a lot of interesting things about that win, Jared. I want to run through a couple things, then we'll get out of here. But, the thing that I'll say more than anything, just kind of looking at the raw numbers, Dak, 29 of 46, 445 yards. Have you noticed that his box scores this year are starting to look kind of like Tony Romo box scores?
Hey,
You're starting to see them throw it 40, 45 times a game.
Yeah, third
and quite frankly,
yard game of the year. I think that ties Romo's team record for most 400-yard games in a season.
And, honestly, dude, it's okay. I know, it makes Jared not Jared. It makes Jason Garrett uncomfortable.
Don't ever compare me
with
Jason Garrett.
Them throwing the ball 46 times against a team who's trying to stop the run is a good thing to do. And that's why you got 9.7 yards per reception today throwing the ball. Only gave up 1 sack. Zeke, 16 carries, 45 yards. They were stopping the run. So if Zeke's not getting 25 carries, that's fine. Maybe that saves a little wear and tear on his body going forward. Defense not great. Didn't get the turnover. But when it did come time, and this is what we're going to see in the playoffs, if you make it, when it's time to get a stop, I need Tank and Robert Quinn and those guys to come through and make a play. And you're still seeing that. You've seen them put away some games this year by using their pass rush. So
look at that final drive, Tank with a pressure. And by the way, I guess that good thing that Tank, who left the game prior to that, back and was effective. And then before that, Malik Collins with tremendous pressure up the chute. And then, we talked earlier, Robert Quinn making plays earlier in the game. But you're right. That drive there by the Lions that could have tied the game, it was the defensive line that made the difference, that got the job done way more so than the back end.
Big questions moving forward. Lyle Collins' health. Want to make sure that knee is not a bad injury. Didn't look good there, but we'll get the latest on that, and that'll be something to check in on. Amari Cooper. He ended up 3 catches for 38 yards, and a couple of those were big catches. 8 targets in the game. Gallup had 9 catches for 148 yards. And I think also this is where I kind of leave you. The other big question here is what happens today with New England and Philadelphia, because if Philadelphia escapes that New England game with a win somehow, and I don't think they will, but if they do, I think you're looking at the rest of the schedule, and I think you're on pins and needles kind of wondering if you're going to make the playoffs or not.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hey, can I ask you a quick non-Cowboys question? If you had to make a decision today for the next, we'll call it 8 years, Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson?
That's a tough one.
And we'll give you an answer next week on Fan.
As graded out prospects, I had Lamar Jackson graded higher than Deshaun Watson.
All right.
What we're seeing Lamar Jackson do is really good. I think Lamar Jackson had a little bit better infrastructure on the offensive line than Deshaun Watson had. And Deshaun Watson's had to already go through it a little bit with ribs and things like that. They're both incredible. So, I mean, those two and Russell Wilson and Dak, those are your MVP guys this year. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe Christian McCaffrey, but we'll see that fade away because that usage is not going to work for a whole year. And it's a testament to Dak. It's a testament to the greatness of Russell Wilson. And those two guys are awesome. And Deshaun and Lamar Jackson, man. So I don't – that's a tough one. Of the 4, I'll take Russ. Of the 4 going forward, I'll take Lamar.
Russ. Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's a fun time. And we're seeing quarterbacks play the position so differently too. There's I think what's exciting about all the really good young quarterbacks is that they don't all go about it the same way. And it's not just a one way or another way. I mean, they're like 3, 4, 5 different distinct styles that Deshaun and Lamar, 2 totally different styles, but both really exciting young quarterbacks. And I'd say that if you threw Dak into that mix, he does it a third different way, in terms of skill set and whatnot. So I just think that's really exciting to see.
And you're not mentioning Mahomes and his continued evolution,
right?
And Kyler Murray, who we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And Garoppolo's been fun to watch too. I don't fully trust him yet.
Me
He
neither.
got away with a lot of stuff in that game last week against Seattle that should have cost him. So I'm still not 100% in on Garoppolo, but like there's just a lot of fun stuff, man, and I enjoyed doing this. And next week we've got the Patriots, Jared. The Patriots on FanCred.
Let's
How
do
about
it.
that?
We're done.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Remember, mybookie.ag is the website to go to, and be sure to use the promo code FanCred to double your deposit. And also, if you're on FanCred.com or whatever, go download the free app. It's very cool. They have some cool features throughout the week as well to use. So we'll just continue doing this. We will see you next week, probably in the 6 p.m. hour as Patriots-Cowboys gets into the fourth quarter. And that will be the next edition of Fourth Quarter Live on FanCred. Bye, everyone. Have a good week.